G'day everybody, how you going today? It is so good to see you. I do hope that you are super well. Today we are talking about the Hobo Light Mini Max Travel Kit. This is it right here along with these colourful modifiers that you can see in front of me. Now I've been using the Mini Max as often as possible when shooting my videos. Probably the most prominent one in the last little while is the video for the 50mm 1.4 launch, where I was shooting outside and using this as a fill light to fill out the shadows. The sun was behind me. This light was probably about 1 to 1.5 meters, which is say 3 to 4 feet, 4.5 feet from me. I had it dialed up around 50% and it was doing a great job. And I was shooting there for over an hour and the battery was only half charged when I started. Hobo Light, what they do is they make very, very high quality lights, and they do it in a solution which is for looking good and feeling good in the field. They remind us of the box cameras of old. There were all sorts of box cameras, and in more recent times they might remind you of a Hasselblad or a Mamiya. That design aesthetic is really interesting. It's not necessary, but it's cool. A lot of photographers like cool stuff, and some photographers don't care at all. That is ultimately your choice, but there's more. There's way more to Hobo Light than what I think is they're pretty fetching, they're pretty cool looks. They're kind of retro inspired looks. And that is that they throw an absolutely beautiful light. Now, I am not a how LED lights are manufactured expert. I've been using lights for 30 plus years. What I have focused on is what the light is doing for me, not how is the light created. And in the LED era, we can clearly see that all lights are not created equal. There are LED panels which do not throw beautiful soft light, they just throw light. And the way LED panels are designed, I don't think there's just one way to create good light, not just one way to create accurate light, consistent light, and soft light. There are a whole lot of factors. For example, some manufacturers use multiple colors of LEDs and they mix those colors together to give us an outcome. And in the case of this light, this is what we call a bicolor light. It does give us the Kelvin spectrum. Not all of it, the chunk in the middle that we all use the most. And that covers 2700 kelvins to 6500. That's what this light can do for us. And it does it with this knob we can see on the side here. It's the bottom one of these two, and you will see it changing. Warm, cooler, 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 and there we are back. It cycles back round to 2700s. There are so many LED lights on the market and they all tell us all sorts of specs, but another thing is the accuracy of those specs. And what I see personally working with Hobo lights, their capacity to be as accurate as possible is high. And they have a high CRI and TLCI of 96. So a high degree of accuracy. This light can be run from a Bluetooth app. So you do have the option of controlling all of the features within this light. And it also has those modes like candlelight mode, fire mode, lightning mode, static TV mode, and so on. All of that's in there, can be controlled from the phone. You can also do a fair bit by utilizing the knobs and buttons that are physically on the light. Now, interestingly, something that obviously has come from feedback from Hobo Light's customers is beautiful lights, but what happens when the battery becomes less effective after time and the battery is inside the beautiful light and there's no way of replacing it. So with this generation of Hobo Lights, this here is the battery. This is a battery eliminator. So that is not a battery. That is just simply an eliminator, a way of passing the power from the handle here up to the light. That can snap off and you can actually put a battery on the back like a film back. That is an option, but there is now no internal batteries. This is a fabulous move because it means that if the head unit just continues to function for your entire photographic career. No reason at all to replace that, and you can just replace batteries as required. And obviously, because everything seems to be slowly moving over to USB-C, you can obviously run off USB-C as long as it's a powerful enough version of that. And look, from my perspective, when I first saw the Hobo lights about a year ago, some of them had detachable batteries, some of them didn't. Probably my biggest question was, you know, you've got an $800 or a $1,000 light. I think I would like a detachable battery. Well, with this range of lights, that's what we're getting. It's a 40-watt light. It can generate 4,000 lumens at 65,000 kelvins, 3,200 lumens at 2,700 kelvins. The input is a DC 5 to 24 volt, so that would run off most of the medium-sized batteries that I have just floating around these days, like the small rig battery that I showed you recently in another video. That would absolutely power this light, no problems whatsoever. If memory serves me correctly, that can deliver up to 140 watts just via USB-C. And I was looking at the standard recently, and it was, I think, up to 240 watts can now be delivered by simple USB-C, which means it's going to be able to power all sorts of things via that cable. That might even start to include, because we've already got to laptops, but things like television sets and more, simply by USB-C, and then that becomes a ubiquitous standard globally, because obviously in every country we have lots of different plugs around the world, and in many cases, not all obviously, because there are devices that require way more energy than 240 watts. Up until that amount, power can be delivered through a USB-C cable. And a lot of household items are becoming lower powered. We'll never have things like microwave ovens, vacuum cleaners, and kettles. I think they'll be high watt for the foreseeable future, but I think if anybody's working on lower watt versions of those things, that is always a good thing for a planet that is more and more hungry for energy. Can anyone say Bitcoin mining or AI? Very hungry. Both things are very power hungry. The CCT is 2700 to 6500 dimming from 0 to 100%. The wireless connectivity is Bluetooth. Wireless operation range is 20 meters or 65 feet. It's running right now. It has a fan that I can feel, but is very quiet. Perhaps when it gets really hot and it's spinning hard, it might get as loud as 21 decibels. That's still pretty quiet. Operating temperatures, -10 to 40 degrees Celsius. That's a very broad range of operating temperatures, or that is 14 Fahrenheit to 104 Fahrenheit for those in the USA. Now, the weight of this light, and I'm not 100% sure if this includes the handle. I'm going to say it doesn't, just based on that little test there. So this would just be the light part of it. It is 695 grams, or 1.5 pounds. 1.53 pounds. I don't know why you've got decimals and pounds, but why not? Live that dream. Now, who is this light for? It's a great question. Hobo lights are not the cheapest on the market, but they do deliver absolutely beautiful light. And thus, it's a decision for you on what you want to do. These are very accurate, and it does deliver a beautiful, soft light from my perspective. You can obviously add lots of modifiers, and there are lots of accessories beyond what we can see on the table here, and lots of other lights. I believe, for example, that you can get a Bowens mount adapter. So Hobo Light are really serious about getting into the lighting game and giving us quality. So it's a quality build and it's a quality light. And this can be used for all sorts of things. It can be used in the daylight. It can be used for stills in a studio setting as a continuous light with modifiers, with battery eliminators or via battery, and for doing these sorts of things as we can see right here. Now, we're in daylight right now, and I'm just going to dial this up to something equating to daylight, which every time I look it up on the internet, they tell me it's 5,500 kelvins, although there does seem to be a little bit of a moving target on that. And of course, it could be slightly different colors in different places. Now, I'm going to put this 5,500 kelvins at 30%, and you can just see at arm's length, which for me is probably 70 centimeters, 2 feet, that is delivering a huge amount of light. And I'm in direct sunlight here. You can actually see the sunlight on my hand through a slightly tinted window. These would work outside. From my perspective, it's just a matter of how much distance you can get from the subject. But there we are at 1 meter at 30%, and you can see the sort of light that that's throwing in its basic configuration. Now we can rotate this here, and that has made it brighter and more focused. And yeah, you can definitely see that on my face. So what I like about these is they're well built, they're powerful, and they're a quality light. This light in Australia is around $1,100, $1,200. So you've got to work out whether that works for you based on the value proposition. And just to finish out this video, these lights have kindly been lent to me by Blonde Robot. I do not get to keep these lights, they've got to go back. My thoughts and opinions about these lights are 100% my own. So many lights on the market just have absolutely no consideration for aesthetic. And I, being a photographer, I am absolutely an aesthetically driven animal. There's no question of it. So I do see, potentially at some time in my future, this thing's absolutely blinding me, a Hobo Light Minimax. Travel kit or not? Don't know. We'll see. I'd love to know, everybody, does this light potentially work for you? It would certainly work for a portraitist. It would work if you're a videographer in the field. You had a few of these to light your subjects, backlights, key lights. You could certainly create an entire Hobo Light ecosystem running off a large battery, all via USB-C. That would absolutely work. And everything can be run from the Bluetooth smartphone app. I also used the smaller version of this light, the Mini, when shooting the Nikon LUT video that recently came out. It just threw a perfect light on my bowl of strawberries, my blueberries, the fish that we were preparing. If you go back and look at that video, that was all done with this tiny little Hobo Light, which is it's probably like a quarter the size and something like a quarter the price. And you can just see how good that light works in that situation. So even a super small version of this is totally a professional level grade of lighting, even when on its smallest of scales. And this, well, this just gives you more light, more power, and thus you have more options because you can move the lights further away and do more. The Hobo Light system is scalable. They do have more powerful lights and less powerful lights. And so you can kind of get into it where it works for you. And you've just got to work out where it fits for you or if Hobo Light's for you. All right, everybody, well, do let me know in the comments below, what do you think about the Hobo Light Minimax travel kit in the comments below. It's been so good to see you, and if this is your first time here, I would love to see you again. So please do subscribe, please share, and please like. All right, bye for now. Here we are riding around the big rock. Yes, we're doing it. And there it is.